baby. I wanna go up there. I don't ever wanna come down. I wanna see what's up there. Acting like I got it all figured out. I wanna go up there. I don't ever wanna come down. Hello. Good morning. Guten Morgen to everyone. Been a while since I did one of these. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning and good morning to you. What it do, what it is, what it be, what it like. Hello, hello. My name is Paul Zigo. Gotta mow the lawn, but I'll put headbuds in. That's right. That's right. Put those earbuds in and listen to some wisdom while you mow the lawn. I don't know what wisdom I actually. Oh shit! Look at this. Look at this mess. Do you see what's going on here, folks? The shirt is not only inside out, but it's backwards. This is what marijuana will do to your brain. Okay? Not even once. How appropriate. What you got on your wrist? I got my Sternglass Hamburg Argo. That's what we're wearing today. Little bit of color on the wrist today. Ping, 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 ping. Before I go, I was wrong and you were right on electoralism. Thanks for saying so. It's kind of you to have the, like personal integrity to say so. Get to enjoy lunch with Paul. I'm gonna go swap this shirt around. There we go. Now the shirt is on correctly. Not that it really matters much, but there we go. Now I don't have a tag on the outside in front of my shit. Isn't that great? Person, woman, man, giraffe, elephant. So what are we talking about this fine morning? This fine California morning. It would be a shame to waste it with small talk, wouldn't it? Don't we have big business to get about? Absolutely destroyed Vosh Friday. I think Vosh destroyed himself, and I just kind of laughed. Yeah, I might play a little Ghost of Tsushima when it comes out. I don't know when the release date is. I've already purchased it, so. Talk about wieners. Wieners. I had a talk with my dad yesterday. It was a very interesting talk, like he and I tend to have these political kind of talks. And I think I may have at very least taken a step towards maybe changing his mind about trans people, which is actually kind of cool. Oh, what up, Jason? Jason got, check this out, dude. Jason got banned from my Discord for being a twat to my mods, right? After I warned him that he was gonna if he kept acting up. And the dude has not reached out to me or spoken to me since then. Like, we're friends. And my mods banned him from my Discord, which I warned him was going to happen. And it's been like a month since the dude has even reached out to me. Like, what the fuck is that about, bro? Is what it is, though, I guess. But yeah, I had a discussion with my dad yesterday. We talked for like 6 hours. Started a new job, less time for games. Oh, okay. Thanks for the heads up, pal. No, it's fine. Do whatever you got to do, Jason. But anyway, yeah, talked to my dad. We talked politics. We talked culture war stuff, and he kind of threw out some ideas. So I came out to my father yesterday, which is a big deal, right? You know, the only people that I haven't come out to have been my family, and the reason, well, I've come out to my mother and now to my father, and the reason for that is because I'm genuinely afraid that my family will ostracize me, and maybe even go so far as to not allow me to see my nieces and my nephews. And so I've been very kind of close to the chest about my sexuality with my dad. I told him, you know, I'm a bisexual guy and I have been for as long as I can remember, all the way going back to a little kid. And he kind of shook his head. You know, when it comes to like the judgment aspect of it, I did not expect my father to judge me, and he didn't. Said, you know, that doesn't matter to me, PJ. I still love you no matter what. And I said, I know that, Daddy. I appreciate that. And I said, but, you know, here's part of the problem, right? So my family is very religious, and they invite me to come over to things. And I gave him an example of a Super Bowl that I went to. I think it was 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 now. I went to the Super Bowl at my mom's house. The Super Bowl used to be like a very special day at my mom's house. There would be a big barbecue, a bunch of people, beers and fun and good times, right? Well, my mom doesn't drink anymore and really doesn't spend any time with the members of my family who used to be there, because those people still drink and she's a teetotaler now. And so I went to this Super Bowl. My weigh-in happens today, by the way. Thanks for asking. 1:30 today is when I go to the doctor to get my weigh-in, and I'm expecting good news. But anyway, so I go to the Super Bowl party at my mom's house, and instead of the usual suspects of my family members and friends of the family who like to drink and barbecue, it's a bunch of church people over. And my sister and my brother-in-law and all my nieces and nephews are running around, and there's church people I've never met. It's just a big church gathering, right? And I'm sitting there, and keep in mind now, I'm a dude who's out publicly but not out to his family, right? At this point. And every time a commercial came on and there was somebody gay in it, I got to hear about how there's some agenda that gay people have um, to corrupt children and stuff. And I'm sitting there as a member of this community that they're talking about, right? And what I'm hearing out of their mouths is, I'm worried about you around my kids. I'm worried about you. This, that, and right. I'm telling my dad this, and he gets this sad look on his face, and he's kind of shaking his head, and he's like, I'm sorry for that, PJ. And I said, well, you don't really have to be sorry, because it's something that I've heard my whole life. And I said, and it really is rooted in hatred and bigotry. And I told him, you know, I said, I talked to mom about this. I came out to mom about 6 months ago, maybe even a little less. And it turned into a fight. Like, we had a whole argument about it. And he was like, really? I said, yeah. I said, so, you know, this is, you know, part of the problem that I have with regards to the religion of my family. I feel like that there's this imbalance, right? When I come to see you or I come to see my nieces and nephews, I don't come with an ulterior motive. I don't come with like an agenda that says, oh, I want to see you and spend time with you, but really what I'm trying to do is convince you subtly or overtly to come to church because your soul is going to burn if you don't. I was like, that adds a whole layer of shit to my family interaction, that there's just no balance on my side. When I come and hang out with you, I hope that you are happy, healthy, well taken care of, and loved the way that you deserve to be. And that's all I hope for you. That is all I hope for you. That's all I've ever hoped for you. Oh. I can hear myself coming out of your butt. And taking these fish oil pills, that is like gotta be the biggest fucking horse pill I've ever swallowed. My eye doctor recommended I get on like fish oil. So I've been taking these fish oil capsules or whatever. By far the biggest pill I've ever had to fucking swallow. It's ridiculous. But anyway, talked to my dad about that. And, I had a kind of a pick your battles moment with my father where he kept referring to the conversation after I came out to him and we talked about sexuality and stuff, turned to trans people. And I had to have a very kind of like choose your battles kind of mentality with my dad to get this talk done, because he was very much like, like he kept saying things that I think normally in a conversation like this I would stop somebody and very aggressively correct them. He kept saying that transness was like a mental problem, like a mental disease. Now I understand that that's not a good way to look at transness. The mental problem is gender dysphoria, right? And transness is oftentimes the cure for that. But I didn't do that. I didn't want to get deep into that definitional thing with my dad because I wanted to talk about the fundament of it, right? And so I told him about my little best friend when I was growing up that I messed around with when I was very young, who ended up being a trans woman. And I told him some stories about me and that kid and his family that he didn't know about. And he said, well, PJ, the problem that I have is that they're cutting on these little kids. And I said, Daddy, they're not cutting on any little kids. Well, I heard they're doing this and they're doing that and they're cutting on little kids. And I said, Daddy, think about this. If you're 8 years old, prepubescent, and you think that you're a trans person, what would it avail them of to cut on your genitals before they're developed? You can't make a functional adult human vagina on an 8-year-old body. It doesn't work that way. You have to wait until that child has developed in order to do that type of surgery. And I said, the only type of surgery that I've ever heard of them doing on a minor is top surgery, which is breast reduction for trans men or trans boys. And my dad said, huh. And I said, and then it reminded me, I said, you and Mom got me gender affirming surgery when I was young. And he said, no, we did not. I said, yes, you did. You remember when I turned 10 or 11, I started growing breasts. And he went, oh yeah. And I said, look, and what was the problem with that? Why did we have to go and get me a surgery? I said, because I have always known that I'm a boy. And when I looked in the mirror, my body didn't match the brain. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a little girl developing. And the body didn't match the brain, and it caused me dysphoria. It caused me to not like what I was looking at. It caused depression and anxiety. And you guys took me to a doctor. That doctor examined me, and I got mastectomies. I got a double mastectomy. mastectomy. And he was like, it was like a light came on in his head. That comparison was perfect because it was personal between me and him. It was something he remembers from me being a child. He can't refute it. And it was like immediately he made the connection between what if I was a trans person? What if you were because he didn't understand that either. A little earlier in the conversation, he was like, "Well, PJ, so you're bisexual or whatever you call yourself." I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay. So what if you would come to me when you were 8 or 9 and said, 'Daddy, I want to be a girl. Should I have put you on puberty blockers?'" And I said, "Well, Dad, that's a hypothetical that never would have happened. I've never had gender dysphoria. Except for when I was growing breasts, I always have known and felt comfortable with being a boy and a man. So I never would have come and asked you for that. That just wasn't part of my thing. Now, if my friend had asked for that, then I think that my friend would have been a really good candidate for puberty blockers. If my friend's family hadn't been bigoted and shitty, my friend didn't get to transition until her 30s because of that. And it was like a light bulb went off in his head. All of a sudden, the conversation changed immediately, and he was steel manning my positions. He was like, "Well, what do you think about this?" And I would explain it to him. And at the end of it, he was like, "I think you're right, PJ. I think you're right. I think it's overblown. It sounds like you're right." Because one of the things he stuck on, he was like, "Well, what about all these kids coming to school and going, 'I'm not a boy, I'm a they'?" I was like, "You're talking about non-binary folks." And I here's what I told him about that. I said, here's how I think, and I think that the literature and the short-term studies and stuff that they've done already on this bear it out. Probably like 85 to 90% of these kids who are exploring their gender nonconformity at a young age, once they become pubescent, are going to lock in, and they're not going to be NB anymore. They're going to be like, "Okay, I'm a girl," or "I'm trans," right? But most of them are not going to be trans. Most of them are going to be cis people. And I said, so if that's true, which it is, then what is the harm in letting your kid, as they're coming into their own and trying to individuate, explore their gender identity? Like, what harm was done if your kid goes, "Hey, will you please call me they, them?" And then 3 or 4 years later, when they go through puberty, they just stop caring about that. So what harm was done? And he couldn't say anything. He couldn't think of any harm that would be done. The only harm that he could think that would be done is if somebody acted on that and did surgery on that child. And I told him that doesn't happen. They just aren't cutting on children's uh, genitals. It just doesn't happen. The rare cases when something like that happens are intersex people.
And they do that when they're little babies.
Yeah, they do that like when they first come out. And that is actually a tragic thing because they're basically making a decision for that person that's just born about what their genitals are going to be before that person has the ability to tell you how they feel about it, you know? So, for better or for worse, super productive conversation um, with my dad yesterday. You know what I mean? I think I really changed his mind. I think at the very least, I planted a lot of seeds that are going to sprout as he thinks about this. Because I asked him, we moved to religion after this, and I asked him, I said, "Dad, why do you think that the media and religious people in general are covering this culture war stuff so hard when Jesus didn't say one word about being gay or trans? They're treating it like it's one of God's primary commandments or whatever, and Jesus didn't have a word to say about it." And he was like, "Didn't he though?" I said, "No, he didn't. You could find me a verse." And he couldn't. He's like, "Oh."
He said some vagueness about like the general rules of the old days or whatever, but the gay thing is right next to the don't mix
Well,
fabrics
I did
thing.
that with him.
Yeah.
I said, where in the Bible where it talks about homosexuality is two places I can think of. One of them is Leviticus, which is a group of rules for the ancient Hebrew tribe,
Mhm.
and the other one is what?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What was his name that got raped by his daughters and
Lot.
Lot? So the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot, and the angel came to town, and the men in Sodom wanted to know the angel,
Hmm.
right? And I said, Jesus had something to say about that, just not directly. He said, I do not come to renew the old covenant, but to create a new one in me, which means that he freed us from these old covenant rules. And you yourself are a standing refutation of the book of Leviticus as you sit in front of me, because you're wearing mixed fabrics and you eat shellfish and you eat pork and you work on a Sunday and you do everything else in that book that's supposed to be a hard and fast rule. I told him, I said, do not lie with man as man, for it's an abomination, is sandwiched between don't wear mixed fabrics and don't shear sheep in the spring. You know? These old rules may have made sense for the society that they were written for, but in modern days, is that really worth worrying about to the extent that Christians seem to be worrying about it? And man, I could see the gears clicking in his head.
And I've kind of heard Sodom and Gomorrah be interpreted as it wasn't necessarily gay, it was like pedos.
I mean, that's one of the problems with the Bible
Yeah.
is that it's all interpretive.
Yeah. Well, like, there's even some people that think Virgin Mary just meant virgin as in young woman and
Right.
not virgin.
Right. I mean, there's all kinds of discrepancies and all kinds of weird stuff. And, we ended up having a religious conversation. I don't know if that one went as well as the culture war kind of stuff did, but I definitely planted some seeds. He is very big on, like, let's verify that claim. So he would get on and he'd try and find a Wikipedia article or like the Mayo Clinic. One of the things that helped me with the trans conversation was he went to the Mayo Clinic and looked up their puberty blockers page and read when they're applied, how they're applied, what a child has to show in order to be put on them, what happens if a kid decides they don't want to be on them, all of that stuff. And there were really no red flags. He was expecting it to say, oh, this child will be, uh, you know, uh, prepubescent for the rest of their life, or their sexual function will be completely destroyed, or blah, 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 blah. And there's none of that, right? And I'm like, Dad, this is the Mayo Clinic. This is like the best doctors that we have. And I said, I don't know that they're 100% right, but I trust them over a 2 or 3 thousand year old fucking book from before people knew that the world was fucking round. you know? But I told him straight up, I was like, Daddy, I'm not trying to deconvert you. I think it's great that you have something that you can latch on to and believe in. I'm just trying to, and I told him, I said, my mom and I have never had this talk. She's never asked me questions about what I think and sat and really considered them and listened to them. She always either gets mad or changes the subject. And I stopped trying with her many years ago. I don't even bring it up. And it's a whole aspect of me that she knows nothing about, doesn't care to know anything about, and makes a bunch of presuppositions about what my opinions are and what the basis of them are. And I said, at the very least, Daddy, you're not doing that. You're hearing me out, you're asking me questions, and you're listening to what I say. And I thanked him for that. Because it's nice to have a family member that you can be yourself in front of.
And, like, yeah, your goal really isn't ever deconverting anyone. It's just to maybe make them a little less rigid and orthodox about it.
I just want him to understand my position. I told him, I'm not trying to talk you out of your religion. I would never do that. That's a personal thing for you, and if it's good for you, I'd rather you stay in it. But I said, I'm trying to make you understand why I can't make that walk with you. And why I won't be, and why it's probably a lost cause for you to try and recruit me into that. Everybody's talking about like Drake and Kendrick. Man, this like pussy ass beef that you guys have today is, dude, I survived the East Coast, West Coast shit in the 90s, okay? I lived through that. That's beef. What's beef? Beef is when your moms ain't safe up in the streets. Beef is when you roll no less than 30 deep. I was Biggie and Tupac and Death Row and Bad Boy kind of battles. This Kendrick Drake sneak diss battle that's happening. I've listened to some of it, bro. I ain't impressed. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I'm not trying to be a boomer about it. You could enjoy it. I don't think you're wrong for enjoying it. But when it comes to like a rap beef, it's kind of pussy beef.
It's not newsworthy beef.
Not in my world. Maybe it is according to the modern kind of perception of beef, but let us have the shitty entertainment while the world goes to shit. That's why I said it's fine if you like it. It's fine if you think it's dope. But I listened to the beef and I was just kind of like,
it's not something to shout from the rooftops like extra, read all about it.
Kendrick's big line that everybody's like quoting is, I hate you. I hate the way that you talk, the way that you dress, the way that you act, the way that you know, like, and it's just like, that's not beef, dude. Beef is, I fucked your bitch, fat motherfucker. West Side. Okay. First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. Yeah, that's beef. I hate the way that you talk, the way that you dress, the way that you look. I hate the way that you act, the way that you whiz, the way that you beat. I was just like, you hate him? So it's just like, this like sounded like schoolyard shit. I hate you. Oh, I hate you. Pussy beef, bro. Kendrick exposed Drake for his weird past behavior, though. Dude, see this modern, like, you did something immoral back in the day. That didn't used to be a diss, dude. People used to actually, like, respect dirt back in the day, whatever it was, in the rap game. That type of shit didn't come up. It's just pussy beef.
Yeah. Like, what is it? Canceling? He's like, he's gonna cancel him for.
You did some suspect shit 20 years ago. It's like, damn, millennial beef. You know what I mean? Ooh. Yeah, I just don't hit the same, bro. I just don't hit the same for a guy that lived through the 90s and was a hip-hop head, so, yeah, my bad, sorry. Don't mean, like I said, I'm not trying to dog out your enjoyment of it. I just think that things, and maybe it's for the best, but that era, that kind of aspect of music has become pussified and entertainment.
Yeah.
Rather than like the real street beef that was going on. Like these were real gangsters rapping back and forth at each other and killing one another. You know? You really can't compare Kendrick and Drake to that, bro. Those two dudes look like they couldn't beat up their grandmamas. Neither one of those dudes looks like they've got a fucking hardness rating above a muffin.
Who would you say is like one of the few left that have that level of hardness?
People will probably fucking get on me for this, but The Game, I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's got face tats instead of an older guy. He's actually a gangster. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he would probably step to somebody. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to laugh at me for this one too, but, what's his name? I'm brain farting his name. Eminem discovered him. He had the, I'm gonna let the champagne bottle pop. I'm gonna take it to the top. Show I'm gonna make it hot, baby. If I can't do it, homie. What's his name? Somebody will say it in the fucking thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just brain farting his name. But that dude, even though he's like a rich guy, 50 50 Cent.
Oh, okay.
He's been shot. He's done street beef. He's got a line that kind of was a diss track to like new rappers. He says, "I'm not gang. I do not gang bang. Pull up on me with some pussy shit, and all you hear is bang bang." And I believe him. I believe that, if it came down to it, 50 would get down.
Poor 50. They put him. He just didn't look good upside down during that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a poor choice.
Yeah.
It's not his best angle, upside down. I don't think it's most people's best angle.
No.
But just...
I don't know how Paul doesn't like Kendrick. He's good. What the fuck, Paul? He's an amazing lyricist. I didn't say he wasn't. Look, here's the way it works, okay? And I hate to explain this to people because I feel like people that share some of my media takes are really dismayed sometimes when they find something they disagree with me on. But here's how it works. Taste is subjective, okay? I personally don't really care for Kendrick Lamar much. I'm not impressed by the songs that people have tried to put me onto. His big kind of breakout song was Humble, right? That song is pretty okay, but it's not an earworm for me. It doesn't stick in my head like other rap and hip hop songs and R&B songs do. So he's not for me. And when it comes to like gangster shit, which is what everybody's talking about right now, I don't buy any of it. He's a studio gangster. Okay? That's a term that was created in the 90s to describe these rappers that draped themselves in the aesthetic of the streets, but were really just soft bitches who had never done dirt.
Yeah. And there's still people you like that are in that vein.
Dr. Dre is that.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre never fucking gang banged. Dr. Dre never fucking did any hood shit. Dr. Dre was a straight and narrow guy. He did live in the hood for a while. But as far as like him doing dirt and being gang affiliated and being one of these like, "Oh, fucking shoot you, motherfucker," he's never been that. He never was that. He's a studio gangster. Right?
And he got fucked by an actual gangster.
Eazy-E talked about that in Real Motherfucking G's. He talked about the difference between a Dr. Dre and an Eazy-E. Eazy-E did dirt. Dr. Dre never did. But he claims he did dirt. You see? That's Kendrick. Kendrick might talk about flipping packs and stacking stacks and racking racks and capping gats. But this motherfucker's never run with the street. Never run with the turf. Okay? And that changes a little bit for me about how I perceive him as a new artist. When I see a little dude like Kendrick being big and hard, he better have some dirt under his belt that he can claim. Because otherwise he's a little dude that's playing hard. We need like just a pile of lighters out here. So I can just hold one in my hand all day. Yeah, you asked about the Kendrick thing. You didn't like what you got, and now you're mad about it. I'm sorry, bro. Don't ask. Next time Kendrick comes into your head, just don't bring it up if you don't want to hear what I think about it.
Some people get so, like, team-oriented with who they
Bro,
like.
did you not listen to his first album Dre produced? He's from Compton. He was a Blood. He was not a Blood. And Dre is on, you can go look this up. Dre is on record. He is not gang affiliated, never was, never did fucking gun play, never robbed anybody. Because he grew up in Compton doesn't make him a gangster.
Ice Cube ain't either.
Ice Cube never did any fucking dirt either. Another studio gangster. You understand? Ice Cube raps harder than both of those guys combined. Ice Cube talks more about gangster shit than Dr. Dre and Kendrick Lamar combined and never did it. Cube was an art student. You get me?
You wore the sports teams, but that was just fucking. It doesn't require anything.
Lol, they think the movie was real. Even if they think that, the movie didn't portray Dre or Cube doing any gangster shit at all.
Yeah.
Other than like partying with a bunch of money, but that was rich guy shit, not
Yeah.
gangster shit. The only one that was portrayed doing gangster shit was the only one of the crew that ever did gangster shit. Eazy-E. Period. So even if that's what they're going off of, they're wrong.
Yeah, and that's Cube basically putting himself in the best light.
And Easy putting himself in the best light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, Easy's dead, but Easy's family is not. And they portrayed him as the dude that actually was out there breaking the law and dealing drugs and blah, 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 blah. Kendrick is still more of a G than Drake the Disney star. Yeah, but that's not saying much. That's a very low bar to clear. The dude that was on Degrassi High, yeah, he's more gangster than that guy. He's more gangster than the dude that was on Degrassi.
All right. I don't know. There's a different kind of danger on that Disney set.
Yeah, true. Drake is probably better at dodging diddlers. I bet Drake's diddle dodging fucking stat is like at 100, dude. That motherfucker was in Disney a long time.
They didn't do a documentary on Disney yet, but just the fact that they hired that dude on Disney.
Yeah, and then rehired. Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah. Tupac was unique because, yes, he had a very artistic side. However, he was raised by militant-minded Black Panthers. Yes. Tupac got what we call a political education from his parents. Father was a Black Panther. His mother was a Black activist. And he was raised not only to pursue his art and his poetry, but to understand the realities of what was happening to Black people. He had a lens on the plight of Black people that many Black people in the rap game at the time he came out just didn't have, because of his political education. He was raised in a political family, and he was taught from a very young age to be an activist and to be an abrasive. Yeah, that is cool, right? Tupac was the most, if you've ever seen an interview with Tupac, you'll understand him a little better. Because if you listen to his music, you get a look at the man's soul. But when you listen to his speeches and his thoughts on things, you get a look at his mind. Brilliant mind. Just a brilliant mind. A super sensitive, super artistic mind. Super great actor. You know, I mean, was just incandescently brilliant. He was, you know, a lot of white people that are not kind of like hip hop heads or whatever will kind of assume things about the articulateness of rappers because of how they rap. And Tupac was probably one of the most egregious victims of those assumptions. Because if you listen to his rap, you would think, oh, you know, white people would call him a thug back in the day. That's why he put Thug Life on his stomach and adopted it. Really cool stuff. Well, the thing is like what people always, like a lot of people that are like critics of hip hop and the culture, right? They remember Tupac talking about how he was going to fuck people's wives and how he was going to kill people. They don't remember Dear Mama. They don't remember Keep Your Head Up. Nobody in the rap game was trying to turn out a fucking song that was meant to empower little girls. Think about that shit. And it went fucking number one, ultra, triple platinum, or whatever the fuck. Keep Your Head Up. Changes. Those are 3 songs that I can think of off the top of my head that are completely unlike the rap that was coming out at the time around it. No rapper was doing, hey mom, thank you for doing your best to raise a young boy. Hey little girl, don't listen to these guys call you bitches and skanks and whores. Keep your head up. Hey black people, things have gotten better and things are still bad, and we need to stick together and we need to face the fire and walk forward together. Keep your head up. Changes. And still I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I mean, think about that sentiment in the context of 90s gangster rap. It's unreal that that happened. Everything was about how hard you could be. And Tupac showed us his soul. Showed us kindness that was seen as weakness in the business that he was in. Bum bum bum, ba-na-na, dum dum, doo doo, dum 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 doo doo. I don't want to talk about Drake anymore. I don't care about the particulars of the beef because I think it's pussy beef. I already said it. I explained why. If you want to hear why, rewind the stream. Dude, Z, that's the last Kendrick post that I see from you today, and I will ban you. And you're going to go get another alt, okay? And by the way, go get yourself a profile pic if you want to stay here. Because if I see another default profile pic post from you about anything, you're banned. Okay? The fact that you just can't accept that I don't like Kendrick and you do, and you've said how baffled you are by my Kendrick take 15 times now, I'm tired of reading it, bro. If you're still baffled by my Kendrick take after listening to me talk about it for an hour and straight an hour and a half, pretty much, or however long we've been here, if you're still baffled, then I think you might be retarded, my guy. I think there might be, like, we're not maybe communicating on the same social complexity level. I just don't get, like that's the thing with Kendrick Lamar is it's just not, I don't get it. Paul Pac or Biggie Pac, I'm a Cali kid though. You should have known the answer to that question, knowing a little bit about my past and where I live now and where I grew up. I didn't get into Biggie until I was in my 20s. In my teens, it was all Tupac. It was all West Side. But once I got into my like mid 20s and started listening back to that old stuff, I developed a deep appreciation for East Coast hip hop and how differently it presented itself than West Coast hip hop and Southern hip hop, which was what I was mostly into. Like I was into early Southern hip hop. You know that like Southern sound, that like kind of like Paul Wall, Southern candy paint kind of hip hop. I was into one of the first major artists to break, Juvenile. You guys remember that song, Huh? From the late 90s? Do 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 do. That's you with that badass Benz, huh? That's you hanging on the corner because you keep fucking with friends, huh? That's you the winter coat, huh? That's you that got subpoena for child support, huh? You know, the baby G's, you got your Glock on fire, remain in the G till the moment you expire. You know what it is. Making something out of nothing, you handle your biz. You know, we crying and we struggling. Boom, boom. Listen to that song. Listen to Juvenile Ha. I was into that song when it first came out. So Southern rap entered my life way earlier than East Coast rap did. They still play that here in Florida. Of course they do, because it's like that is. If you listen to people who talk about Southern rap, Ha is considered to be the holy grail. That whole Cash Money crew, Juvenile and the Cash Money guys, they're really considered to be the innovators of that genre by most people. He introduced me to Wayne. What do you think of Lil Wayne? I like Lil Wayne. I'm not gonna sit here and claim to be his biggest fan. I probably couldn't name you 5 Lil Wayne songs. I like him as a personality, and I like him for the genre that he helped to inspire. That's really kind of like where I am with Lil Wayne. There's a couple of Lil Wayne songs, I don't even know the names of them, that I think fucking hit pretty hard. But he's just not, he doesn't have my favorite flow in terms of his music, but his influence, I think, created the kind of modern, what people call like SoundCloud rap, which a lot of people make fun of, but I think it has a great energy to it. Snoop and them No Limit Soldiers gonna make you say, woof, motherfucker, woof, motherfucker. That's a great story. You know, Snoop Dogg was pretty close to being destitute in the late 90s. Death Row Records had fallen apart. Dre had gone on to do Aftermath. Snoop had kind of like fallen off and wasn't culturally relevant anymore, except as kind of like a meme about weed smoking. And then Master P, who is this business genius, by the way, if you look into the guy, he's got a fucking super interesting story. But Master P comes along and starts No Limit. And the idea of No Limit was to empower artists. He made a very artist focused rap label, which was the exact opposite of like Death Row. The paradigm that existed then was this giant label, and the artists were basically like, you know, get to work, motherfucker. And he made this very artist centric thing where he gave them enough money to produce great. So there were great rappers on that label, right? C Murder was one of them. I loved C Murder back in the day. There was a guy called Lord Have. Lord Have. He had that like deep ass voice. But anyway, he came along and gave Snoop a deal. And Snoop, there's interviews you can see where Snoop talks about this. He basically saved Snoop's life. Definitely saved his career. Came along at a time where Snoop was just kind of drifting into cultural obscurity and said, hey, dude, you can still fucking rap. Why don't you come rap for No Limit? And gave Snoop the ability to hit the studio again when nobody else was really interested in taking his calls. And he dropped an album that's not considered to be like a classic album, but it put him back on the map culturally. It kept him relevant through a time where a lot of old rappers were starting to fall off and be replaced, you know? Pretty cool. I love hip hop. I really do. It's my favorite genre of music by far. I love all music, or pretty much all music, but hip hop is the top for me. Nothing chills like hip hop, nothing grooves like hip hop, nothing's political like hip hop. Nothing can blend all of that into one fucking crazy song like hip hop. I just have so much affection and love and genuine joy for the genre. And you know, I love talking about it, but I feel almost reluctant to do it because in on like on my bigger show, because the other guys really aren't into rap, you know, and I don't want to bore people, you know. Here I don't really care about that. If you're bored by my rap talk, you can get the fuck out, you know. I grew up in the 90s too. Chicago, Crucial Conflict, Psychodrama, Do or Die. Yeah, see, I didn't, that kind of stuff, it's weird. It didn't have the reach, right? Back in the 90s, you remember. Like, I listened to a bunch of West Coast artists like Mr. Grimm. You probably wouldn't even know. I could name you like 10 artists that I listened to all the time, and you probably wouldn't know half of them. Music just didn't move regionally like it does now. There were these very regional hits. Do you like Memphis rap, Chopped and Screwed? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Chopped and Screwed. I just love Southern rap, you know, and all of its many forms. Yeah, MC8, Watts Up. I don't know if you've ever heard of that group. Um, there's just a bunch. West Side Connect. Uh, like I said, Mr. Grimm, Warren G, and Nate Dogg. You know, I'm trying to think of more West Coast people. Big West Coast one back in the 90s before they became a weed rap meme was Cypress Hill. They were gangster rappers. They were like Latino gangster rappers, which made them super, super important in the area that I grew up in, because the area I grew up in is 70% Latino. And so I was super into them. What do you think of G-Funk? Oh, you mean Where Rhythm is Life and Life is Rhythm? It was cool. It was the West Coast sound. The West Coast sound was about taking oldies. When I say oldies, I mean like 50s kind of classic crooner type of songs, sampling that vibe and taking samples from that and making a kind of chilled out motherfucker. You know, like they weren't like the East Coast was a little bit more like, you know, I'm not a pussy, I'll run up on you, blah, blah, blah. You know, like they were doing that kind of thing. And the West Coast was just kind of like, yeah, I'll blast your ass. You know? Yeah. Fan out the motherfucking cash real fast. Yeah. And I'm rolling down the street, 34 deep, and we're looking for the heat. Yeah. That was just like the California. I just like the California flow and energy, right? Love the Ghetto Boys. Love Mac 10. For life, Mac 10. Rolling through the hood with strife. Love Mac 10. Bone, bone, bone. Tell me what you gonna do when there ain't nowhere to run. That song is tough for me. That fucking song, Meet Me at the Crossroads, about like remembering people that have been killed in the gang war, played while I was being driven to what I thought was my death in a kidnapping attempt. Can you tell me what kind of twisted shit the universe was saying to me there? They turned my radio on and changed the channels around to the hip hop station, and Meet Me at the Crossroads played. And they grooved to it while they had a pistol to my head. And I'm gonna miss everybody. And I'm just sitting there like, oh God. Oh my God. It did ruin that song for me. I won't listen to it. I mean, it doesn't, like, I won't run from it if it's playing somewhere. But
You ain't seeking it.
You've heard my hip hop playlist. Does that song or any Bone song come on? Nope. because I hate to say it, I love Bone, but they basically made the same song over and over again. You've got Meet Me at the Crossroads, and then you've got It's the First of the Month. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, they're all the same thing, so I can't even really do Bone. But I will tell you, back in the 90s when Bone came out, I bought that album before anybody knew about them because I still was into Eazy-E big. And a lot of my friends thought Eazy-E was kind of like old rap or whatever, but I was big into like 80s and 90s shit. And so 80s and very early 90s shit. Like Fat Boys, Dana Dane, MC Ricky D and Dougie Fresh. MC Ricky D would be Slick Rick eventually, would rebrand as Slick Rick. Anyway, by the way, connective tissue, do you know that Tupac got his start in the music industry by being part of a group called Digital Underground, which also helped to launch Slick Rick? And my sound's laid down by the underground. That's not Slick Rick, but Slick Rick rapped with Digital Underground for a while. Don't really know the classic artists, but I really love Clipping. They're so far. Well, that's the thing is like I was into that. A lot of my friends were like Johnny Come Latelys to hip hop and started listening to it when The Chronic dropped. But I was into all this old school shit and still followed Eazy-E. And so Eazy-E had done a feature on some song that I'd heard on an album that I picked up, and he talked about Bone Thugs. And then I remember seeing their album at the store and seeing Eazy-E standing there with them, and I was like, oh, I gotta get that. And I started playing it for my friends, and they were like, oh, that's dope. So everybody like, wanted that album after that. But I think that album probably would have missed where I was from, at least in my friend group, because it was adjacent to Eazy-E. It was their adjacency to Eazy-E and being on his label that allowed them to break. The Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump. Yeah, if you've seen that movie Nothing But Trouble, you can see a young Tupac before he blew up as a solo artist as a dancer, a featured dancer and hype man for Digital Underground. They sang All Around the World, same song. And Tupac is all up in that scene. A lot of people don't know that. Tupac was a movie guy before he was a music guy. Like his movie career took off harder than his music career did at the beginning. Oh my God, Tupac was brilliant in Juice. The only reason to watch that movie, the unfortunate thing about Juice is that Tupac is surrounded by a bunch of lesser actors. I think Shock G is still alive. I don't think he does public stuff anymore. Did Pac give up on acting? Pac got killed. I don't think you can answer that question. Pac was young, and he got killed at his prime, so yeah, I guess technically he gave up on everything. What rapper is overrated? I don't want to trigger the chat, but Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I don't want to take a side in the beef, but when it comes to songs that I would put on a playlist and listen to over and over to, Drake's got about 5 or 6, and Kendrick has a fat goose egg for me. I prefer Drake's brand of corporate pussy hip hop. So there you go. J. Cole, yeah, another overrated rapper in my opinion. Macklemore, another overrated rapper. Humble was the one that everybody told me, oh, go listen to Humble and you'll change your mind about Kendrick. And when I listened to it, I wasn't all that impressed. I mean, it's like probably his best song. It's the one that I liked the most, but yeah, no, I'm not a big Kendrick guy. Don't care. I'm crazy, but you know something else? I don't give a fuck. Okay. Listen to ADH. I don't want to. Please stop trying to I've listened to Kendrick. That's why I didn't want to bring it up. I said I didn't want to trigger the chat, and this is what I was fearing, is that everybody was going to start going like, let me change your mind on Kendrick. Dude, I've listened to Kendrick. Listen, my ear, I have the culture to my ear like a seashell. Are you hearing this? These tomcats are fighting, or somebody's courting or something, man. These cats, bro.
It's all the time.
It's all, 24/7. If you walk out here at 3 a.m., you'll hear them.
Yeah.
This whole neighborhood is just like crawling with strays. I guess I don't mind, because I'd rather have strays than rats and, all the other little things they feed on, but man, I've never lived in a neighborhood that had this many strays in it.
Yeah, these little conversations they
Oh
have.
my God, dude. Well, there's a whole ecosystem for them here. There's like 10 or 12 breeding pairs of cats living in this area.
Yeah.
And they're just all over the place. They're in and out of your yard all night. They're just right outside of your windows.
Yeah, they're doing their little yell right now, but sometimes they're like,
Well, there's different. Yeah, you'll hear them like, and then another one over here will be like, and you're like, what are you even doing? Are they conversing? Might be mating season. It 100% is. It's spring.
Yeah.
Spring has sprung. Love is in the air. You can hear it. That'll probably bring them. I shouldn't have done that.
They've had fights on our roof.
Oh yeah, dude. Sometimes I'll be sitting in my my office that I do the show out of, and I'll hear this like, and it's just like they're having a whole ass beef on the roof, and it sounds like there's 4 of them, like a rumble. I'm just like, what? I've never lived in dude, I've lived all over this country in all kinds of neighborhoods, dude. I used to live in legitimately what you would call da hood. Not the hood, da hood, okay? It was that hood that it got the da, all right? And I didn't have this many stray cats running around. Jesus.
Of course, we get the kittens up in the roof.
God, kittens everywhere. That cat dumped her kitten in 112-degree weather right in the sun on our porch, literally on our porch.
Yeah.
She was just like, well, I'm going to leave this to die. And we could hear it out there going, like, yeah. So we brought it in and saved it, and thankfully found like a foster parent for it.
Yeah, someone that had a kitten that was already or a cat that was already nursing kittens, and
had basically just had kittens around the same time this kitten was born.
Yeah.
And we were able to take the cat to that old lady, and she introduced that kitten to the mama, and the mama accepted it. But it's just like, dude, I don't know how, like, I'm not trying to talk ill of other people, but I don't know how many people are going to go to that length. You know what I mean?
Because those shelters won't take them unless they're
We
sick.
tried.
Yeah.
We called, Cricket is a rescue cat as well, right?
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, unless it's like actively dying, they don't take them.
Yeah, they say if it's not a medical emergency. And I remember we told them, like, this cat is almost dehydrated to death. It was found in the sun.
Yeah.
And it definitely can't live without its mother. And they were like, nope. They used to do these, like, programs where they would do spay and neuter and release kind of programs. They won't even take a kitten. So it's just like, you're on your own. It's the Wild West out here. So we just stopped doing it. You know, like, I was going to try when I first got here to buy some, like, humane no-kill traps. Because there was a program in my hometown, which is not far from here, years ago when I was a homeowner there, where if you would capture a stray, you could bring it into the local pound and they would spay it and release it. or neuter it and release it. So you're not killing it and you're not removing it from its environment. You're just functionally ensuring that it doesn't have 10 generations of other stray cats. It was a great program, and so my ex-wife and I we had a couple of humane traps, and when we heard cats around, we would put them out, put some cat food in there, and every once in a while we'd catch a cat, we'd take it in, they would spay it and call us, we'd pick it up and take it to a field out behind our house and let it out, and it would scurry away. You know,
But we tried, and like they had like a 2-month waiting list or some
it's like
shit.
2 months. By that time, I've adopted this thing, and I'm not going to give it to you. So, give me a break. I mean, we're that close to having another cat. I told Amelia.
Like if we hadn't found the lady the next day,
You found the lady. Amelia was diligent about finding it because once we called the local authorities about it, like the animal control, SPCA, no kills. And everybody said, man, nothing we can do. You're on your own. I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm not going to leave a cat. Dude, it was so sad. We live near a river. And so there are a lot of these big wood, they're called like Asian cockroaches. They live outside near water sources. So we tried everything. We fed the cat, remember? We got it you went and got formula. We wet a little rag because we couldn't get it to take a nipple, and got it to suckle from the rag, and we got it to where it had eaten. Its little belly was full, and it calmed down and stopped mewling. And we were like, okay, now we're gonna put it outside and see if Mama comes and gets it. And I put the little kitten outside, right, in the dark, by the front porch in a shoebox with a blanket in it, hoping Mama would come.
With a big thing of cat food.
With cat food and everything, so Kitty wasn't alone. Because I wanted to draw Mama to the kitten and then to have her find it and take it. That's the best thing, right? For the cat, probably in that moment.
We just couldn't put it out right away when it came because it was so fucking hot.
Dude, we put it out there for a couple of hours. It was at night. We didn't put it out in the sun. After the temperature came down and the sun went down, we put it out so Mama could come get it. And who is this fucking guy, dude? What is this? Yeah, he keeps saying. Get out of here. And so weird. I went out there to check on it. Like, so I opened the door about an hour and a half after we put it out there. And I heard it going, and I went out there and I turned my light on, and the Asian roaches had found the cat food and were crawling all around it. And I was like, I'm not leaving this kitten out here to be eaten by fucking roaches. So I brought it in, put it in a shoebox, got it warm.
Tried to give it a little more milk.
Fed it again, put water, gave him another little towel with just water so he wasn't dehydrated. He started snoozing, and in my mind, I was like, well, we have a cat now. I was like, I don't know how we're going to deal with it, but I'm going to talk to Amelia tomorrow about a cat. Amelia kept looking, went on Facebook, which is something I never would do because I've never solved anything in my life on Facebook. So I don't know how to do it. She went on Facebook, found an old lady that had a litter of kittens she was fostering and a mama cat, and it worked out. We were that close to having an adopted kitten that probably would have died under our care, honestly, because they're so much better off with a mother. We would have been very diligent with it, but there's a really high chance that that kitten would have died without the care of a mother cat.
Yeah, we weren't getting it to poop very well.
No, we were just, it was very much not ready to be away from its mother yet. Eyes had just opened on the little thing. You could tell.
Mama cat knows how to make it feed, make it
And I think
poop.
what happened was Mama cat had a litter and she was having trouble raising all of them, and she chose the runt.
No. I think what it was is that was the only one she had, and that's why she got rid of it.
Oh,
we
you think
only
so?
heard the one little.
Oh,
mewling.
that's right. That's
so
right.
I think she had a single kitten litter. Maybe she was a young mama because she had such a small litter and just didn't know what the fuck to do with it.
Right. Hello, Paul and Amelia. Hello. Nature is cruel. It really is. Yeah, it really is. And that's been true for humans up until very, very recently in our history. It was basically kill or be killed. If you came out and you were runty or deformed in any way, you had no life. You were just left. left out on a rock somewhere because you would slow down the tribe and there was nobody to take care of you. You know, that was human existence for most of human existence. Has Amelia put a pie out on the bedroom floor for you yet? No, she's not hit me with this step in the pie. I don't think that's her thing. I told that story again on the show, I think. The pie stepping story.
Yeah. We don't really got nothing weird going on. We're pretty vanilla folks.
I love vanilla though.
Yeah.
We're vanilla bean.
Yeah.
Paul's lost so much weight, the pie would support him. I don't think so. We'll find out today. Yeah, 1:30 today. I've got my.
Oh, is it 1:30? Did you get a text from them? I thought it was 2:30.
Oh, you would know better than me. I
Okay.
trust your time because I didn't get any text. So 2:30, sorry. And it'll be the first time I've weighed myself in 6 months. Close to 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was at the
It was at the sleep doctor, but
yeah.
it was the last time I went in there, and that we've had the whole intervening time.
Yeah. 'Cause you were starting to eat a little better before the CPAP.
Starting to, but
not like massively better,
that
but like
weight,
cutting out.
That weight at the last doctor's appointment at the CPAP doctor was fucking insane. 367 pounds is absurd. I would have been 400 pounds like
if
this
you had
year.
Gone down the path.
If I just kept what I was doing, I'd have been 400 pounds this year. I'd have crested that for the first time in my life. I never want to see that number on a scale. Something had to be done, and that was a clarifying moment for me. I was like, Jesus Christ. Because I stepped on it thinking 340, which is horrible, but not like... And when it went 367 and a couple ounces, I was like, oh, fuck. But since then, I feel like I've lost. I don't know, man. I don't know. How much do you think? You see me more.
I mean, like me and your dad said, you can reach around you a little better with hugs. You've been able to fit into stuff you haven't been able to wear for years. Like, gradual weight loss is like 2 pounds a week, probably for your size. So, like, probably at least 30.
But I think, okay, so factor this in too. At 367 pounds, I probably had at least 15 pounds of water on me.
Yeah.
And when I started moving around a little more and eating way less and better, all of that is the first thing to shed off of you. So I probably lost that 15 pounds of water within a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then we go to that steady weight loss. So yeah, I think you're probably right at 30 pounds, but I think there's a chance it might be more.
Yeah. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. We're going to see, though.
Yeah.
We'll find out today.
I'll have you check your text later.
Didn't you say you read somebody that said in the subreddit that they lost a bunch of weight when they got on CPAP?
Yeah, they said they lost like 100 pounds over a year plus or whatever. So
I remember reading that at the beginning and going like, that probably ain't gonna happen to me. But like slowly but surely, I'm dropping weight. I can really tell the place. It's like the stuff fitting. Check. But for me, like the worst part of my day is my shower because that fucking bathroom of mine has those 360 mirrors where I can see every lumpy, bumpy, flabby, wabby, wibble wobbly angle of my fat ass. And when I was big at 367 or something, I used to have to avert my eyes because it was just like so obvious. I was just sick. And now when I look at myself, I'm just like, I'm not looking bad again. I've kind of like almost got a little bit of a dad bod going on.
Yeah.
The high end of dad bod.
yeah.
You ever try keto? I've done keto numerous times. I actually did keto before it was called keto. It was called the Atkins diet. And I did that back in the early 2000s when it first came out. Lost a fuck ton of weight on it. Like a bunch of weight. But that was also a time in my life where I had very little money. And so
part of it was just I can't afford to eat much more of this.
Yes.
And you're just not someone that can cut out carbs. It's not your jam. You were fucking... It wasn't something you could have ever stuck to, I think, for the the rest of your life.
No. It's just not tenable for me. I tried it again most recently back when I was living in the Tinderbox with TJ. And we were all doing the Atkins thing, and I lost a grip of weight on it again, probably 30 or 40 pounds on it, but it was just not.
The temptation of the pasta.
Yeah, it's like the pasta, the pizza, the bread, the ice cream, all the sugary stuff. It's just like, I'm not really obsessive about that stuff on the day to day, but you take it from me and I get obsessive.
Yeah.
Your face looks younger and less wrinkles, where that's one of the things that happens is like, I've looked into this, right? Collagen production increases when people start to lose weight, healthy collagen production for your facial structure. As fat kind of goes away, collagen comes in and fills in some of the stuff, and it gives you a kind of healthier skin tone. I haven't noticed that in myself. That's something I trust you guys to notice because you have to look at me all the time. I really don't observe myself that closely. You can't shit on keto too. Yeah, I remember that being a problem. You do get
it just wasn't right for you too because you didn't have a gallbladder, so you couldn't process that.
It also wasn't right for me because my aforementioned meat hang-ups.
Yeah.
It's like eat a bunch of meat and it sounds good on paper, but for a guy that's got kind of these deep-seated hang-ups with meat, it just didn't work. I can't do it. Not my thing.
Not shitting on anyone else doing it, but it's just not for you. Just like you wouldn't push vegetarianism on anyone.
Well, I'm not a vegetarian, but yeah, no, I would not push my diet on anyone because it's not based on, like, it's not a moral concern diet. So I keep out of that argument, or at the very least, I don't tie my eating habits to that argument. My eating habits are as such because I am literally a person that my whole life has been grossed out by meat. And there are certain types of meat that I'm less grossed out by, and I was able to kind of like pass on those. And then there were some of these in middle ground meats where sometimes I'm grossed out and sometimes I'm not. And I really felt this impetus, like I looked around myself, everybody else is eating meat. Everywhere I go, it's meat. Every time I go to a barbecue, it's meat. So I really need to get over this. And so I used to tell people, oh, I don't like meat on the bone, because one of the things I really didn't like texturally was like sinew and cartilage and the kind of connective tissue that happens when you eat a more raw cut of meat. I like a more processed meat. And when I started thinking about the implications of that, it's just like, so in order to keep being a meat eater, I'm forcing myself to basically eat the lowest quality kind of meat. You know what it really was that got in my head? I don't even think I talked to you about this. That I read this article
You told me
of the
about it,
downed cow.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of downed cow? So, you know how they keep you know the cheap beef that they serve you? The cheap beef that they serve you at these fast food restaurants, right? I learned something that fucking grossed me out to the max, because fast food burgers and just burgers in general was something that I could eat, right? Because the chances of you getting like a sliver of bone or a weird tendon or a globule of something in there that shouldn't be there, it's very homogenous throughout texturally. And so I was kind of okay with eating that type of meat. And then I read about this downed cow thing where, like, you know, the nightmare that is factory farming, some cows will get lame, right? And they'll get an infection in their hoof that makes them like fall over and they can't get back up because now their leg is all fucked up, right? They will kill that cow and then sell the meat cheap. And that is where a lot of these fast food places, how they keep their costs down, is they will just go to these big ranching operations and say, we will buy every quote unquote downed cow that you've got and you give us a deal.
Yeah, like
so it's like a mutually beneficial thing, because the farmers get to reap some sort of profit from a downed part of their herd that maybe like 25, 30 years ago they couldn't have sold to anybody because nobody wants a cow with a big open sore on it that killed it. But now that you've got this meat industry, this fast food industry that's gone fucking global, and they don't give a fuck what they're serving you. They'd give you horse if they could. But we have an FDA that checks these things.
Mhm.
So they buy downed cows.
Yeah, I was thinking like that hoof shaver guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a few of them now. That's important. Like
Yeah.
those cows will down themselves if that doesn't get done. To
And it's
them.
not just that. Sometimes they'll get like wasting disease, or they'll have an obstruction because they ate something that was on the lot that they weren't supposed to get, and it built up in their gut. And it's just like they'll get septic and fall over, and they're just like, well, we can save some of this meat, and they'll sell the fucking cuts that aren't, you know, covered in pus and disease, and that's what you're eating at McDonald's.
So get pneumonia for a little bit.
I was just like, and it's not even, it's also true when you go to like Walmart or Safeway or wherever your fucking grocery store is.
Manager's special or whatever.
Yeah, the ground chuck that's on sale, the cheap fucking 3 pounds of ground chuck that you can get for a song every once in a while, that's downed cow meat. And that's what I was buying and eating my whole fucking life. And I was just like, for what? So that I can enjoy the one kind of meat that doesn't give me textural shit?
Chicken, you were so picky about it. Like, it was every other time, basically. Like, sometimes it'd be fine, sometimes it would be totally not fine, and there was no rhyme or reason to it.
It had nothing to do with anything either, other than my mental hang-ups about it.
Yeah.
I would find a little piece on the chicken that was rubbery, and my mind would fill with pictures of sinew and connective tissue and cartilage, and now I'm afraid the next bite is going to have it, and I can't eat the chicken anymore. Or I find that rare, well-trimmed chicken breast that just doesn't have any connective tissue around or on it,
shit.
and it's cooked all the way through,
and then some.
And then some.
Like we got a temperature probe, and like the way you like quote unquote liked it was like 180 degrees.
No, I know. So I just stopped eating the meat.
Yeah.
So I don't have those hang-ups and never had for shellfish. So I still eat shellfish and will try fish, although I haven't found an actual ocean or lake or river fish that I really like.
Besides tuna.
Well, tuna, yeah. But only really then
canned tuna.
Mixed with a bunch of mayonnaise and shit on a sandwich.
Yeah. Or in a casserole.
Or in a casserole. Right. Cinema roll, casserole. But I eat shellfish, and I eat dairy, so like cheeses, milks. I eat eggs. So the I hate the term, but it actually exists. The technical term for what I would be called in the food obsession community would be lacto-ovo-pescatarian, meaning milk, eggs, fish, and vegetables, which pretty much sums up what I eat.
And you just eat better kinds of protein and fat inherently with that kind of like meat replacement and alternative proteins.
Way more fiber.
Yeah.
Way more plant matter than I've ever probably consumed at any point in my life.
Like, can you imagine telling yourself 10 years ago that you would like kale and squash gnocchi?
No. But I do love it. I mean, I couldn't have told you 10 years ago that I would ever have liked kale in any way. Kale was like repellent to me. And so it was just kind of like a matter of like waking up to the things about my diet that were incongruous, that didn't make any sense, right? Why would I eat something that I'm kind of low-key disgusted by? Why would I continue to try and engage in this public ritual of eating big slabs of meat that I would never eat if left to my own devices? Like the only steak that I can eat, and you know, whatever, dude, this is kind of like pussy stuff, but whatever. The only steak that I can eat is like that really super premium filet mignon cut, that center cut of the ribeye with everything trimmed off of it, because it's so homogenous when it's cooked right. There's no textural difference between, I mean, well, there is, but it's a pleasing one.
Yeah.
There's a crust on the outside that's really well seasoned, and the inside is super hot, moist, and homogeneous. There's no ribbon of fat that goes in your mouth. And that's ridiculous. You know, like filet mignon is super expensive when you go out to a restaurant and get it. And do I enjoy it on the level where I just need to have it? No. And so it was easy to go, okay, done with that. Done with steak, done with ribs, barbecue, all that stuff. I really do love the flavors of it, but I can't hang with the weirdness of the meat. It has nothing to do with like some kind of moral thing. It's just like it took me 40 something years of my life to, and it was really just like the most formative thing was just talking to you about it, because I'd never let those thoughts out of my head because I thought they were stupid and really had dismissed them. And you probed me about it because you were trying to figure out, like, why can't I cook this motherfucker a chicken breast that he'll eat? Like, what have I got to do? And you ended up triggering a conversation that lasted a couple hours between me and you, through which I understood the weirdness of my fucking eating habits. Like, for the first time in my life, I understood my relationship
Well, you would
with food.
like feel bad after eating sometimes because you
Well,
were
see,
pushing yourself to eat. You did what you didn't want.
Exactly. If I had to push food away, so like Amelia would cook a thing and it would be really well prepared, and I would take a bite of it and I would get a bite of cartilage. How do I push it away and not hurt your feelings? Now, of course, you're a grown up. Your feelings wouldn't be hurt if I explained it to you. But how do I explain that to her? Fuck it, I just gotta keep eating. And I would keep eating through this kind of like feeling of disgust. You know, what I ate was well prepared, tasted wonderful. The thought of cartilage was in my head, and and by the end of it, that anxiety would make my stomach hurt. It would make me feel drained. It would make me feel listless after I ate. And then you couple that with the fact that I was eating probably double or triple the portion size I'm eating now. And the stuff I was eating on the average was like really bad stuff. Burgers and fries and, you know, all that stuff. I haven't really stopped eating that kind of stuff, but just I eat like a third of what I would usually eat. You know, you made that lasagna and we barely ate like a quarter of it because you and I are just not eating big.
No. We actually got through it. Remember?
Oh, yeah,
we froze it.
Because we froze it.
Yeah.
I just meant the first night.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like, you know, there have been times where you made a big thing like that, and mostly due to me, half of it or more is gone by the, you know what I mean? Like I go back and I get seconds and sometimes thirds. Dude, I can't even think about that now. Most of the time I have to push a plate away because I am 100% tuned in now to my stomach sending that signal for the first time in my life. And I was telling you the other day, one of the feelings, this is going to sound so fucking weird. One of the feelings that I never knew what it felt like was hunger. I haven't been hungry in probably 25 or 30 years.
It was just need for emotional.
Right. It was emotional need, and it was energy need because I wasn't getting enough restorative sleep or exercise. So my body's like, give me high density, high caloric sugars, fats. Right? What was I saying?
You hadn't felt hunger.
Yeah. The other, you know, I've just now started to realize, because I was telling Amelia the other day, right? I was like, you know, I've just started to recognize, because I'll think to myself, sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll go like, oh, well, I guess the health benefit is over because I feel like shit, man. My stomach is cramping up and I feel weak and tired. And then I'm just like, wait.
You haven't eaten anything in like 12, 14 hours.
And the last time I ate like 10 mouthfuls of food that was barely any calories, you know? And I'm like, I'm hungry. I need to put food in my body. And so now I recognize that. And I recognize, like I said, for the first time, that fucking signal, I think, has been repaired. Where it's like, you get that brain signal from your stomach that says, or your body in general sends its report up to your brain, and the report is, we have enough energy now. That's enough food. We're good with that. We need a break from the food. And it goes, bzz, you're full.
But you were eating so fast and so like mindlessly that you were just pushing past it before.
Well, it's also not going to tell me I'm full as fast.
Yeah.
You need maximal shit. So you're
Yeah.
like, it's not even hungry. Your drive to eat just doesn't stop. That signal never gets
Yeah.
sent because you're not sleeping at night. So it's just like, keep eating more fat, more sugar, put as much in as you can. Dude, I would have these things. You used to give me those Skittles.
Yeah.
I would sit and eat handfuls of Skittles, handfuls.
The family share size
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck.
Right? And I would just fistfuls of Skittles, right? And then I would feel like shit.
Yeah.
I'd be like having these panicky feelings and stuff, right? And what I realized is I was just fucking sugar spiking to the point. I'm not diabetic, but like, you put enough fucking sugar in your body, everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
Put your teeth on edge. It's like I was fucking tweaking. And it feels awful. I hate that feeling.
And it's so acidic too.
Oh, it's just
Skittles.
everything about like, you remember like the acid reflux shit that I was having?
Yeah.
Poof.
And you'll get it sometimes, but like only if you have like a fuck ton of saturated fat, like donuts or something.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't had donuts since because of that. Yeah. The last time I had it was months ago when I ordered donuts. And I ate a bunch of that fucking deep fried fat. And I'm here burping up fucking straight stomach acid all day. That has not happened. Do you get weed-induced panic attacks? Not anymore. This is the weird thing, bro. This change of my energy being restored at night because I'm on a machine that helps me breathe, moving around more, stretching, my body's more limber and stuff. The result has been my health anxiety has dropped from here to like here. And when I used to get, dude, I've been sitting here smoking. I've smoked I brought a half one out. I've smoked like almost 3 joints out here, or two joints and change. I would have been like,
well, because it does raise your blood pressure enough for your heart to kind of start, but you were so tuned into it.
Right. And I was so worried about that. And my weight was such that is exacerbated, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the sugar buzz that I was talking about. And so many times I was sitting there smoking weed, and what do you want to do? You want to snack, right? Sometimes. And what did I snack on back then? Big fistfuls of Skittles. So now I've got weed, which naturally can raise your like blood pressure, attenuate your heart a little bit. And then I'm fucking pouring sugar and caffeine on it.
Yeah.
I'm washing down Skittles with diet soda. And my heart's going, blah, 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 and I'm going like, oh, I'm gonna die. Oh God. And I had to stop smoking weed because of it. Well, really, it was the mixture of all those drugs and the fact that I was just so unhealthy that weed, the effect that weed has on your body is just kind of like, that is another thing that went away immediately. And you know what? My healthy desire to smoke weed, like what I consider to be a healthy desire to smoke weed, came back as well. Instead of it being like, I need to do this because I need to feel something, it was like, I know this helps me mellow out and makes my day a little better, and it helps my pain. I'm gonna do that, and I'll do it, right? I like the way I feel on it. I like the way that it doesn't intercede with my thought process. I'm stoned. I'm high as a kite talking to you guys right now, and I think I'm lucid and connecting concepts pretty fucking well. That's what I like about weed. It doesn't make me this like, oh, I love you guys, man, like thing. Like,
I mean,
drunk.
if you eat like a bunch of fucking edibles, you might
Well,
get
yeah. Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I like to overindulge.
Yeah.
If I take like, 400 or 500 grams of edibles or something, I'm going to go to the moon and be a little wavy. But as far as me just like smoking some weed, I smoked a couple joints out here. So I just don't eat that shit. It was like, okay, so I'll give you guys an example. And this was like a milestone for me. Last night, right? I didn't eat a whole lot yesterday, but I wasn't like under eating, I don't think. I found myself wanting a little snack, and I kind of felt like I kind of want something sweet. I really haven't had though a lot of cravings for sweet stuff. I want something sweet. So you saw me. We had some cookie dough, some edible, okay to eat cookie dough sitting in there. And Amelia had reminded me about it a couple of days later, and it popped into my head. Oh, cookie dough. Before, and you can back me on this, I would have eaten that whole fucking thing of cookie dough last night. You wouldn't have gotten. Dude, I had like 4 bites, little spoon bites.
Yeah, like what would be equivalent to 4 cookies if I had baked it or whatever.
Not even that.
Yeah.
Not even that. They were probably equivalent. I probably ate 2 cookies. Because honestly, the bites, I wouldn't take them like big.
Yeah.
You do a full tablespoon. I was
Yeah.
doing like chunk.
Yeah.
I did 4 of those, probably 2 cookies worth, and I was done. Put it away. It's still in there.
We can maybe bake it today or something.
Yeah. So I don't really get like another example. Like the other day, I woke up and my brain was like, hamburger, hamburger, hamburger. I was like, it wanted me to go get like a big, greasy double burger. And I was like, okay, well, let me play into this to the best of my ability. So I went to my favorite hamburger place here, a local place, and but I got their Beyond Burger instead of the real burger. But I got the hamburger just the way I like it. And I got the fries. And I ate it. Did it hit exactly the same as the beef burger did? No. But at the end of it, was I fucking craving a burger anymore? Nope. It hit hard enough to stop that, And that was like a milestone for me too, because it's just like, okay, when I have one of these hard cravings, I used to just give in to them.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was like, that's going to make me feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, I want pizza today. Oh my God. You've seen how much I love pizza. I used to, before we were together, I'd order a whole family size pizza. So I would get home from work, like, I don't know, 3 hours usually before my ex-wife did. And so I had all this time where I was kind of hungry after work to wait for her. And so sometimes just kind of secretively, as well as I could, although she, being a CPA, knew every dollar I spent. I would get a whole family size Papa Murphy's pizza, bake it, eat 3/4 of it in one sitting, wrap up the rest and hide it in the fridge, stuff all of the evidence of what I had done in a trash can, take the trash out, put a new trash can in. Then, when she got off work, she would always call, and I'd say, hey, can you pick up some broilers? Can you pick up some Chipotle? Can you bring home some blah, blah, blah? Can you go grab some fast food? And 9 times out of 10, she would. And this is like 2 hours after I ate pretty much a family-sized pizza. When I say I can pack it away, I'm not even fucking joking.
And that was when you were close to where your top was recently.
I was higher.
Yeah.
The highest I ever saw on the scale was like 378 or 380.
But that's only 10 pounds away from where you were last time.
So pretty crazy, right? So I've just like had a massive, massive switch in my mentality about food that has been nothing but healthy for me.
And not counting a single calorie, not counting a single macro. Or
haven't stepped on a scale, not obsessing about weight, obsessing about just feeling better.
And the walking we did on that fucking Pismo trip was insane.
Yeah. Well, what was insane was my ability to tolerate it.
Yeah, because we walked to the beach.
You got a little spoder friend on you, I think. You see him?
Yeah. So I put out all them sticky traps, man. They're they're out and about now.
Yeah.
I hate catching the spiders with them too, but we gotta catch the fucking other shit that sneaks into this house because it's sealed horribly.
This house is this whole neighborhood is a fucking joke, but whatever. I don't want to go down that depressive rabbit
Yeah,
hole. We're
but
getting the fuck out of here. So
long story short, the glue traps work on like
yes,
cockroaches and
they
shit.
do. Thoughts on Keffels? Um, do I want to just? I don't know, bro. Here's the thing. I've looked into Keffels a little bit because there, you know, the Vosh drama happened, and I really wanted to follow like what's true about this, and I wanted to see like what can people infer because I'm not the type of dude that is gonna fucking do the CSI crime scene analysis of the tiny little pictures and match, you know, so what is coming out of what was seen in Vosh's folder, what's actually in there, and how are people reacting to this? It was interesting to me to observe that. You guys heard my position on it. What, you know, especially cartoon stuff, what he looks at is way secondary to me to what he professes to believe. That's what I think is destructive and harmful. I don't think his stupid fucking Zoomer jerk off mentality is as harmful to anybody but himself. That being said, I was interested to see how people reacted to that incident. I don't have much time, by the way. My phone gave me the 10% warning a minute ago, so we're about done. But Keffels was a person that came out real hard for Vosh, and Vosh did her about as dirty as I've ever seen somebody do somebody on the internet. She put her ass way out in the wind as one of the only people that was going like, hey, fuck you, you know, leave Vosh alone, basically. Like, I'm his friend, and I know he's not a pedo, and quit trying to pedo jacket him. And he just left her out to dry because he did this whole fortress shit where it's like, I'm not going to allow any discussion of this at all, and anybody that even insinuates to try to talk about it will be banned immediately. He did that. And so all of the people trolling him went to Keffels. And all of a sudden, she's getting 24/7, 365 roasted because she came out in favor of Vosh. And he didn't even step in to like help her or contact her or thank her or whatever the fuck. So he did her about as dirty as you can do a human being. Because she acted like a little fucking side target for all the trolls and shit when he just shut it down. But Keffels is also a person that, from what I've seen, and I'm not an expert, seeks out drama incessantly and has placed themselves at the center of just a ton of drama, a lot of which, from what I've looked into, had a lot to do with just their own fucking bullshit. Like, there was the whole, like, the big one was her whole, like, swatting incident, right? Where she claimed that she was, well, she didn't claim, she was swatted by a troll. And she had this whole arc where it was like, I'm going to sue the police department because they misgendered me in my paperwork and forced me to give my dead name and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And she raised a bunch of money for a legal fund to sue
And a moving
the
fund.
cops. And then she decided like, ooh, I have to move because I don't feel safe here in Canada, so I have to move. And so instead of doing it on the QT, which she was rich enough now to do, she moves to Ireland and then tells everybody where she's at. And she happened to be staying with a friend of hers who's also a lefty streamer who's been doxxed before.
Mm-hmm.
So she was at a fucking place that people knew she knew somebody in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at a house that had already been doxxed in the communities that trolled her.
Mm-hmm.
So she basically just doxed herself and wasted a bunch of people's money moving to Ireland. And then she basically treated it like a vacation fund. And by her own admission, traveled all over Europe, staying in expensive Airbnbs and hotels and shit, and doing drugs
Mm-hmm.
on the money. While she was telling people, oh, I'm building the legal fund.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to sue Kiwi Farms. I'm going to sue this, right? She's snorting cocaine all day and taking amphetamines all day and traveling around Europe like some kind of fucking superstar on her people's dime. That's why she has nobody left. If you go to Keffels' channel, she used to be like one of the top streamers. Nobody watches her anymore. because the people, when she did people that dirty, people just were like, really? And she even came out and admitted it, like that was gonna heal it in people's eyes. And I think for a lot of people it was the last straw, because a lot of people give a lot of fucking money to her.
That's the problem with this like Kickstarter, GoFundMe culture.
Yep.
Is it's so ripe for scams.
There's one time in my entire history as a content creator that I've come to you guys and asked for money for a personal thing. And it was when I moved from Texas to Bellevue. I was in that transitional moment where I needed to be in the room, or I needed to be in the room with the guys on the show. I needed to be where it was happening, but I was broke. And TJ and I had made this piece of content that sold super well on Vimeo, and that money was supposed to help me move. And Vimeo went and ripped that money away and kept it and banned our video. And that TJ and I made a video saying, hey, if you can donate to this thing. And look, we ran a 1 week campaign. People gave, I think it was $1,100, and that helped me get where I was going. So that's the one time I've done it, and I'll never do it again. That's my honest that's the honest truth of it, because I'm not in the position where I need that, nor am I a person who ever has that impulse.
You didn't crowdfund.
I would have, to be honest with you, I really didn't need that money that I asked for. That's why I'll never do it again. I would have figured out a way. I always have in my life. I would have figured out a way. It wouldn't have been pretty. It would have been hard for me. I might have had to sleep in a car a little bit for a while until I got my shit straightened out. I would have figured out a way. So I've always looked back on that and gone noble, because I spent it on what I said, and it really was for what I said. I wasn't scamming nobody.
Yeah.
But I always kind of felt like, you know what? I really didn't need that extra help. You know what it bought me? A flight.
Yeah.
I was going to have to drive my shit box up there, basically, and that's what it saved me. And my girlfriend and my pets, my pet, a flight.
Yep.
But that's just the thing. I do not like when content creators come to you and say, hey, now it's one thing for them to come to you and go, hey, I've got this creative project I'm working on and you need to buy in. Cool. I love that exchange.
It's for a
Exactly.
product that's, tangible.
That's why I don't feel bad about having a Patreon, right? Or asking for donations, or letting people donate if they like when I live stream, right?
That's an exchange for content.
Exactly.
It's for hours of your labor.
Exactly. And you decide you want to throw me a tip, I feel like a busker, basically, right? I'm sitting on the street corner. The street corner is now the internet. I've got a little hat out, and if you like the things I'm talking about, or you like my personality, you throw a buck in there. That's cool, right? That's an exchange. What isn't an exchange is Boogie2988 going, guys, I'm gonna lose my house, please dono. Or TJ going guys, my electricity got turned off and I need money. That was way back in the fucking day, but you get it. That type of shit, I just can't do it. I've never once called my parents and asked them for money for anything. Not one time in my life. I've never tapped any one single person for money. I've never borrowed money in my 44 years from a friend or a family member. I've always stood on principle that if I need it, I get it myself. And I am certainly at a place in my life where I'm capable of doing that. And so me doing some kind of GoFundMe, buy me my dream thing, it's like, you're already doing that, right? You pay my living, you're my patrons, you're my fans and donators and all of that stuff. I live a really nice life because of what you give me, and it's a really rare fucking job that I have too. You know how many people want to do what I do, but are just functionally out of it because they just don't know anybody. They don't know how to get into the business. They don't have that initial boost that I was given by being both a long time adopter of the platform and also just kind of having connections with people that were even bigger than me. If I hadn't had those twin things, I never would have gotten beyond a couple hundred subscribers on YouTube, if that. I would have been just talking into the void like 99% of people do. But anyway, I gotta end this because my shit's gonna die. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.